Well, hey guys, welcome back to Four Oaks Crafts, and today I've got kind of a show and tell video I want to do for you. It's not really a full tutorial, although I do have a tutorial on this, and I'll put a link in the description field. But it's how talking about how I made a solar lantern. And if you follow my website, you know that I've probably made two other type of lantern designs that you can use for the yard or the house. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you a little bit about the solar lantern design and kind of how I put it together. So it's a very simple design. You only need a few basic tools. Of course, you need a saw. You're going to need a drill. You're going to need a screwdriver for assembling this with some wood screws. It's very simple design. You could probably make two or three of these, over the weekend. Materials, take the light, I'll tell you about the light here in just a minute. The materials are basically, I had some 1x1 poplar boards on hand that I'd gotten from my home improvement store. I had some 3/4 inch pieces of plywood, scrap plywood that I use, and I built basically a frame for this with 4 pieces of the poplar is sort of the columns, and a piece of plywood for the top and a piece of plywood down here for the bottom. I cut the holes out. I got a hole down here in the bottom, and I used a hole saw to cut those holes out, as you can see here in the top. And then this other small hole here, I used a Forstner bit to cut that out. That's for the bulb for the yard light, which I'm going to show you here in just a minute. As far as these outside slats though, that are very rustic looking, just an interesting story, about those. About, I guess, 3 years ago, my wife and daughter and I took a trip down to the Florida Keys, and I would really, encourage you to go check the Florida Keys out sometime. It's just a beautiful, interesting place to visit. And I was down there. I always like to check out the local craft shops and see what's being made in those areas. And so I found a craft shop that was using old crab trap doors, and they were using them to build all kind of different little crafts. And they actually had a bunch of these crab trap doors for sale, so I bought a couple of them and decided to use one of them for this lantern. And all I did was they're probably 1.5 inch, wide, about 1/4 inch thick boards, and I just cut them to length here, as you can see. Cut them to length and measured them out, and drilled some holes and just attached them on here with screws. And really, they just kind of give it a little bit more of a decoration look, more of a rustic look. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I like to try to reclaim lumber and do a little bit of recycling sometimes. You see me do some stuff with some pallet boards, and so I thought it would be kind of neat to make a lantern with the crab trap door wood. So I thought it turned out pretty interesting looking. But let me tell you a little bit about the solar light, because this is powered by basically the sun, and you probably are familiar with these. This is a basic yard light. I've got several of these on walkways around my house. This one's about a 15 lumen, and really when you pick these out, you have to go by something called lumens, which tells you about the brightness of the light. So the higher the lumens, the higher the brightness. This one, as I said, is about, I think, 15 lumens. Now the one that I'm using for the lantern is, I think, about 5 lumens. It's a little bit smaller. But basically, you take your yard light, you just take the top, right off the top, off of these, and change the battery or whatever you need to do to them for maintenance. Really not a whole lot of maintenance, but you can take those off. And that's what I did here. Is this, went with another yard light, so I took the top off, and I used my hole saw to cut that little recess hole. And this basically just, by gravity, just lays in there, sits in there. I suppose you could design it to where there was a way to hold it in there, so that it, because right now if you tip it over, it's going to tip out. But I figure most of the time it's going to be upright, unless I knock it over. So it's going to sit down in this little recess hole, and you know, I can carry it around. It's not going to fall out. It's going to stay right there. And so it works pretty great. You know, I keep this on my front porch, you know, next to my Adirondack chair, and it's just a great decoration piece. I mean, I have used it, carried it around the yard for actually lighting and taking it down to the fire pit. But it's a real fun project to make. And you may have noticed the other thing that you don't have to do this, but I put a mason jar, a real small mason jar in there, sort of a globe, you know, if you will, for the light. But you really don't need that. It's more of a decoration than anything. And then I added this little piece of craft rope. I think it's like a 3/8 inch maybe piece of craft rope, but you could use small chain or wire, whatever you wanted to use. Just a lot of possibilities, you know, for the design of this. But anyway, I just wanted to do kind of a quick show and tell, not getting into the details of how to do it, but you can go down into the description field and check out some links that I have there. Gives you the full tutorial on my website, as long as a full set of plans as well. So I encourage you to check that out. And I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you will, you know, consider subscribing to the channel or to my website. And hope you have a great weekend. And we'll catch you in the next video. Take care.